Okay, good morning, my dear students. So in this class, we are entering into the unit 2. So in this unit 2, so we are discussing about what is finite element method and its historical background, and what are the programs which are available in the market for dealing with the finite element method. So previously in the unit 1, so we have discussed certain methods which are principle of minimum potential energy, Galerkin's method, and Rayleigh-Ridge method. So those are the basic methods to finite element method. Okay. So in today's class, we will discuss about the definition of the finite element method. So what are the procedure steps involved in this method? Um, okay. So finite element method is one of the numerical method. So which is used to solve a system of governing equation. So over the domain of a continuous physical system. Okay. So this finite element method, uh, it is a powerful tool in the numerical methods. So its solution is approximate, even though it is finite element method is a powerful tool. Why it is powerful tool? So this method can be applied a wide range of engineering problems. So which are known as stress analysis of automotive components, aircraft components. So building and bridge structures we can analyze by this method, and heat flux problems we can solve by this method. Heat fluid flow, magnetic flux, So seepage and other flow problems we can easily find, we can easily analysis by this method. Okay. So what is the definition of this finite element method? So basically, so in this method, we define a problem, a physical system. So that physical system, in this method, we discretized into simple geometric shapes called finite elements. So, so later, after discretizing the a complex domain or physical system into small, simple geometric shapes, finite elements. So next, over the elements. So we implement the material properties and the governing relationships, and so uh, we express the element equations which are in terms of unknown values at the element corners. So finally, after getting element equations, so we assemble them. That assembled system of equations that represents a whole system domain. Okay, if I solve the system of equations, if you solve that system of equation, so that solution so will give us an approximate behavior of the physical system. So this is briefly about the definition of the finite element method. So let us see what are the procedure steps which are involved in the finite element method. So one by one. The definition we will tell in the steps, in the procedure steps. So in the first step, a continuum physical system is discretized into simple geometric shapes called finite elements. So what is continuous physical system? Say it is that continuous system. It may be a solid mechanics problem, or it may be a heat transfer problem, or it may be a fluid dynamics problem, whatever it may be. So that system, its mathematical model. It is in partial differential equations. So either it may be time independent partial differential equation or time dependent partial differential equation. Okay. Time independent partial differential equation, time dependent partial differential. So in the finite element method, what we do, so this continuous system is converted into discrete system. Okay. So what is discrete system? It means, so this continuous function, this partial differential equation is a continuous mathematical expression. So it is converted into linear algebraic equation. So the meaning of a discrete system. Okay. So what are the subpoints in step 1? So in step 1, so first we construct the finite element mesh. So whatever the physical system, so we have taken, so that is discretized into finite elements. So that that whole thing, that together of all the elements on this system is called mesh. Okay, and we have to give the numbers, node numbers and element numbers. Okay, in the subpoint C, so generate geometric properties. So what are the geometric properties? So coordinates of the nodes, at what point it is located in the coordinates, and cross-section area of the system, cross-sectional areas of the system. So in step 2, we implement the material properties over the finite elements. Material properties and the governing relationships. are considered over the finite elements. So, and expressed those element equations which are expressed in terms of unknown values at element corners. So that element corners are called nodes. Okay. So what are the nodes? Node is a point. It is represented as a point on the element. So that node, it is located on the element at the boundaries of the element. Okay. So the node, the purpose of the node, it is connected to the, it is connected to element. It actually, so it connects the one element to another element. Okay. So subpoints in step 2. So construction, the variational formulation of the given differential equation over the element, and assume dependent variable. So u of x, y, z. So it is polynomial displacement function, and substitute in the variational formulation to obtain element equation. If I substitute u of x in the variational formulation, so we will get the element equations. Step 3, it is an assembling process. So in this assembling process, so what we do is we assemble the element equations. So element equations, so that assembly of element equations, as that that represents the physical system, whole physical system. So that assembly of element equations will result in a set of equations. So for example, in this figure, if you see, so this is the 2-dimensional circular object. Okay, 2-dimensional circular object. So it is construction, it is fixed at this boundary. So at this boundary, it is applied, so loads are applied at this boundary. Okay, so this system is a continuous system. This is a continuous system. So in finite element, we describe this system into finite element. So finite element meshing. Okay, so this is discrete system. After dividing the entire problem domain into finite elements, so that system will be a discrete system. Okay, so in this discrete system, these are the elements. So this system has quadrilateral elements and triangle elements. So okay. So in the first step, so we impose the boundary conditions of the problem. Okay, so we impose boundary conditions, so on this set of equations. Finally, solve the above set of equations, so that gives approximate behavior of the system. Okay, so these are the procedure steps in this finite element method. So what is historical background of this finite element method? So this finite element method, its concept is originated in the year 1940. So first they applied this method on structural engineering problems, solid mechanics problems. So that too, a simple element, one-dimensional element, on one-dimensional element, so on one-dimensional bodies, so this method is applied. So between 1940 to 1950, their work is only on one-dimensional elements, that too structural problems. So between 1950 and 1960, so they developed methods, so direct stiffness method for two-dimensional elements, Okay, so this has some progression from one-dimensional to two-dimensional. Between 1960 and 70, so in 1960, see that method, it is it is called as finite element method. So before 1960, so there is no concept of finite element method, but so the procedure is same. But here, one scientist, he gave a name of this method as finite element method. So 1970, from 1970 to 1976, so they worked on three-dimensional elements. So that too large deflection, and they did on thermal analysis, thermal applications. So in 1976, so large deformation, non-linear dynamics. Okay, they worked on non-linear dynamics. So at present, from 1976 to this day, so lot of modifications are going on still. Still, they are developing new elements and new softwares. Okay. Okay, so this is chronological order of the finite element method, and its development. Okay. So in 1941, Hednikov, he presented a solution of elasticity problem using one-dimensional elements. Okay, as I told in the previous slide. In 1943, McHenry, so he did the same thing. So he did some problems on elasticity problems using one-dimensional elements. In the same year, 1943, Parent, so he introduced shape functions, so our triangular subregions, to model the whole region. Okay, so shape functions, which are also known as interpolation functions. Okay, so the purpose of this shape functions, so in between the nodes, you can find the deformation or field variable. Whichever the field variable you can find by using these functions. Okay. So in 1947, so Levy, he developed the force method or flexibility method for structural problem. 1953, again Levy, he developed the displacement stiffness method for structure problem. 54, Argyris Kelsey developed matrix structural analysis using energy principles. And 1956, Turner, Claw, Martin, Toff, they derived stiffness matrices for truss structure, beam, 2D plane stress elements, and they developed the direct stiffness method also. So in 1960, Claw, he introduced the word finite element. So Claw actually he introduced the name of method, finite element method. So in 1960, Turner et al., Turner and its co-authors, so they developed large deflection and thermal analysis. Melosh and Martin, so they developed plate bending element stiffness matrix and tetrahedral stiffness matrix for 3D problems. Okay. So in 1962, so this scientist Gallagher, material nonlinearity. Okay. So from 1941 to 1961, so the material, so they have chosen is isotropic material. But in 1962, Gallagher, so he introduced material nonlinearity, anisotropic material. Okay, 1963, Grafton and Strom, so developed curved shell bending element stiffness matrix. So curved shell bending elements, so curved shells are boiler shells. So Boiler cells bending analysis can be done. So he developed on boiler cells, curved cell bending element stiffness matrices. So again in 1963, Melosh, he applied variational formulation to solve non-structural problems. So non-structural problems are heat transfer, fluid dynamics, etc. In 1965, Kla, so he developed 3D elements for axisymmetric solids. So axisymmetric solids are circular shaft. Example is circular shaft. So in 1967, so Zinkovich, so he actually first published a book on the finite element method. So Zinkovich. So again, Zinkovich in 1968, see, he worked on viscoelasticity problems. So viscoelasticity problems are nothing but, so viscoelasticity materials are so rubber materials. Okay, automobile wheels, tires, automobile tires. So he worked on the viscoelasticity problems. So in 1969, Jabo and Lee, they adopted weighted residual methods in structural analysis. In 19 Warden, so he wrote a nonlinear continuum. He wrote a book on nonlinear continuum. So in 1976, so Pelly Stokes, so he worked on large displacement, nonlinear dynamic behavior of the dynamic behavior problems. So from 1997 to this time, so these are the progressions. So new elements are developed, new elements, convergence studies. So the developments of supercomputers, the availability of powerful microcomputers, the development of user-friendly general-purpose finite element software packages. Okay, so this is about historical background of finite element method. So through the example, I will discuss again the procedure steps of the finite element method. So it is an example, a cantilever beam. So one end is fixed, the other end it is subjected by a point load P. So this is a linear static structural system. So this system is linear static structural system. So why it is linear static structure? So the body is in static condition, so linearly elastic. So the deformations which are obtained on this cantilever beam, you see within the elastic limit. Okay. So in the first step, so we decide so which body is this. See, is it one-dimensional, two-dimensional, or three-dimensional body? So which body we have to decide. So if it is one-dimensional body, so we have to use line element. We have to use line element. If it is 2D, we have to use surface elements or 2D elements. If it is 3D, we have to use solid elements. Okay. So in the next step, construct the finite element model. See, in the finite element model, we do first step is discretize the continuous system into discrete system, into small finite elements. And here we select the element types. So which type it is. That depends on the body we have chosen. in the first step. Okay. So element types are 1D line elements. Okay, 1D elements are always represented as line. Okay, so 1D element always has two nodes only at its ends. So, so this is one end. So this is one other end. So at these ends, we call these points are called boundaries of this element called nodes. Okay, and 2D elements. 2D elements are quadrilateral element and triangular element. Okay, the corner points on 2D element, we call them as nodes. Okay, so quadrilateral element has 4 nodes, triangular element has 3 nodes. So 3D brick element, so it is a solid element. So brick element. So it has eight nodes on brick element. There are 8 nodes. Okay. So together of all elements in the system is called mesh. It's called mesh. Total number of elements in the system is called mesh. So now next select, we have to select a shape function. Okay, shape function for 1D line element, it is linear polynomial function. U is equal to ax plus b. Okay. And so later define the compatibility and constitutive law. Okay, whatever the stress strain relation and stress strain relation and strain displacement relations, which are called as constitutive laws or compatibility relations. Okay, so next we have to form the element stiffness matrix and element equations. Okay, so to form element stiffness matrix and element equations, there are some methods which are known as direct equilibrium method, work or energy method, method of weighted residuals. So these are the things we have discussed in the unit 1. Okay, so element stiffness matrix and equations. So this expression, it represents the element equation. So in this element equation, so this matrix, the area of elements in this matrix is stiffness elements. Okay, stiffness elements. This is known as stiffness matrix. So this is displacement vector. This is displacement vector or deformation vector. So and this one is load vector. So this load vector, it includes point loads, traction forces and body forces. So if there are thermal loads, okay, so temperature load vector is also included in this load vector. Okay, so if it is only structural problem, so this load vector has three force component, three kinds of forces: point loads, traction force and body forces. So next to form the system equation. Okay, so whatever the element equations we got here in the step D, so those elements equations in the step E, we have to assemble them. Okay, so after assembling, the standard form of finite element equation is this way, in this way. Okay, so this equation is known as global system equation. So global system, in this global system equations, so equations of all elements in the system are included, are assembled in this equation. Okay, and so at this point we have to introduce boundary conditions are given in the problem on this point at this global system equation. Okay, so again this matrix here, this is element stiffness matrix, but here this matrix is called global stiffness matrix. So this is global displacement vector. This is global load vector. Okay, so this expression only is specifically for element. So that's why superscript of this matrices represent E, small e, that E represents element. Next, after getting global system equations, so if we solve the system equation, for solving the system equations, there are two methods. So one is Gauss elimination method and the iteration method, Gauss-Seidel's method. Okay. So after solving the system equation, so what you will get? So displacement field, you will get only displacements. So in this global system equations, so the unknown matrix is displacement vector. This D matrix is the unknown displacement vector. So in the system, you will know the stiffness constants, material stiffness constants, and you know the loads applied on the physical system. But this is unknown. That we have to find out. So after finding displacement field, you can easily find strain field by using strain displacement relations. And after finding strain field, you can easily find stress field from stress strain relations. Okay. So this is post processing. So after you did discretizing process and the solution process, okay. So this is post processing after getting results. So what we have to do? So we have to plot the deformation plot versus XYZ variables, independent variables. And this is stress contour so simulation model, which is taken from the ANSYS software. Okay, stress contour. So like this, we have to analyze a problem in ANSYS or in finite element method. So next, applications of finite element method. Okay, already we have discussed so many times. So structural problems, structural applications, non-structural applications. So in structural applications, we do stress analysis on trusses, frame, etc. Stress concentrated problems, etc. So buckling problems, we can discuss buckling problem, vibrational analysis or dynamic analysis, impact problems. Okay, these are structural problems. Non-structures, okay, heat transfer, fluid mechanics, electric or magnetic potential. So these are the softwares I listed here, which are available in the market. So each software has a specific purpose in the market. Okay, so ANSYS, it means that so analysis system. Okay, so NASTRAN, it is NASA Structural Analysis Computer Program. So Abacus is a finite element computer code. So LS-DIANA, it is an advanced general purpose multi-physics simulation software package. So like Adams, DADS, Cosmos, Moldflow. So this Moldflow, this software is very suitable for pattern application, mold pattern applications. So, so it is. So this can be used in so foundry applications. So C-Flow, Phoenix. Okay, these are the different softwares. Okay. So let us discuss finite element modeling for one-dimensional body. Okay. So in this finite element modeling, I will discuss how to give the numbering on elements, how to give the numbering on nodes, and so how to locate. So where you have to locate the nodes on the system. Okay. So these are the points I will discuss. Okay. So this is a non-dimensional bar. It is loaded by traction, body, and point loads. Traction loads, point loads. So, so these are the body loads. So these are the arrows represent body force. So on the surface of this body, so this loading, it is a traction loading on the surface of the body. And point loads, so this is one point load. So this is another point. So here in this problem, in this problem, the structure is one-dimensional body, but it is a tapered structure. Okay, so the shape of this body is tapered. It has a taper. Okay. Okay, finite element modeling. So in this finite element modeling, so we will discuss element division, node numbering. So what is what is element division? Okay. So the first step in this finite element method, so we have to divide the physical structure into simple geometric shapes called finite elements. So to model the bar as stepped shaft. Okay. So we divide this tapered bar into stepped shaft. So therefore, so it consists of discrete number of elements. So each discrete element has uniform cross section. As uniform cross section. Okay. So let us say this bar, it is divided into 4 elements. Okay. So let us assume, so divide the structure into 4 finite elements. So like this, so we have to divide the structure into 4 elements. So element 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So these elements are not in uniform. So at this point, so elements are not having uniform cross section area. Okay, it is actually tapered element. Okay. So we have to here we have to each element to make them as uniform cross section. Okay. So for example, if you consider the element 1, so the cross section area at the top of this element is greater than the cross section area at the end of this element 1. Okay, we have to let us assume at the top area of cross section 1, at the end of first element the area of cross section A2. So to get uniform cross section of this element, we need to average these two areas, A1 plus A2 by 2. So that is the uniform cross section area of this element 1. And for element 2, similarly you do for element 2 uniform cross section area of this at this cross section, area of at this cross section, you will get the uniform cross section. Okay, so similar procedure you apply for third element and fourth element. So So after getting uniform cross section of each element, so this is the stepped bar. So the cross section area of the element 1 is greater than element 2. Element 2 cross section area is greater than element 3. So like okay. So in this finite element model, we have 4 elements and 5 nodes. Okay, each element has 2 nodes. Each element has 2 nodes. So here at the fixed support, it is node 1. So this one. At the end of the first element, there is another node 2. Okay, each element has 2 nodes. So on element 2, the nodes are 2 and 3. On element 3, 3 and 4 are the nodes. On element 4, 4 and 5 nodes. So total, so this finite element model has 4 elements and 5 nodes. Okay. So node 2, node 3 and node 4, so they are the common nodes between 2 pair of elements. Okay. So here one condition, whenever you model the one-dimensional body in the finite element method, so the elements, the one-dimensional elements should have cross-section area, traction forces, body forces, okay, cross-section, traction, body forces are treated as constant within each element. Okay. So within each element, cross-section area should be constant and traction force T1 constant and body force F1 is constant. Okay. To each element, so these 3 should be constant. Okay. So therefore, whenever they are constant magnitudes, so element to element their magnitudes are different. Okay. So for the element 1, the area of cross section is different from element 2. A1, A2, A3, A4 are different. Similarly, to subtraction force value, body forces values are different among all elements. Okay. So how to give numbers for the elements and nodes? Okay. So here we give for elements the numbers are circled. Element numbers are circled. So it is for so why we have to give numbers for elements as circle numbers. We have to distinguish the element numbers from node numbers. Okay. So in finite element modeling, we give element numbers as circle numbers. So node numbers as we give as a natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here in this one-dimensional problem, so every node which can be permitted to displace so only in plus or minus x direction, plus or minus x direction. Okay, so if this structure, if this is stepped bar, it is subjected by uniform tangential load at the end. So each node on this finite element model deforms in positive x direction. In positive x direction. Okay. So or else if we apply the uniform compression load, so uniform compression load, so the deformation of nodes which are moving in the direction of negative x-axis. Okay, so the node, each node on this model, if it is, it can be deformed either in positive x or negative x. So therefore, so according to the definition of the that degree of freedom. So degree of freedom of a node. So for each node, the degree of freedom is 1. The degree of freedom either so because it deforms only in x direction, so not in y and z direction. Okay. So each node in this finite element model has 1 degree of freedom. Okay, so here 1 degree of freedom, 2 has 1 degree of freedom, 3 has 1 degree of freedom, in the 5 has 1 degree of freedom. So in total in this finite element model, so the system has 5 degrees of freedom. So the system has 5 degrees of freedom. Okay, so the 5 node finite element model in figure 3.1 has 5 degrees of freedom. Okay, the system has 5 degrees of freedom. So therefore, the displacement along each degree of freedom are denoted as Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. Okay, so these are the displacements. Okay, so which are in the vector form, it is Q displacement vector Q. It is a column matrix. Q1, Q2, so on, so on, Q5 transpose is called this column matrix. It is known as global displacement vector. Global displacement vector. So similarly, there are loads. If you write in a vector form, column matrix, so that column matrix is called global load vector. So it is denoted by capital F matrix, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. Okay. So in this figure, see each node has so deformation. So at node 1, the deformation is Q1. At node 2, Q2, Q3, Q4. So loads F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. Okay. So Q, it is a column vector. F is again column vector. So here, so one more thing, last point in this finite element model. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the node numbers. See in global coordinates, so these are the numbering of the nodes. Okay, element 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, at node 1, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the global node numbers. Suppose if we assume a single element which is in the local coordinates. So local coordinates is nothing but, so here the axis of the element is considered as a x-axis in local coordinate. Okay, so in local coordinates, so each element has 2 nodes. So the first node is 1. First node we denote as 1. Second node we denote it as 2. Okay, so 1 and 2 are the local node numbers. Okay, so small q1 and small q2 we denote it as, so displacement in local coordinates. Displacements in local coordinates of node 1 and node 2 respectively. So this table, it gives the information about the element connectivity. So element to element connectivity. So element 1, it is connected to element 2, element 2 is connected to 3, element 3 connected to 4. Okay. So here for element 1, so what are the so here nodes. Okay, 1 and 2, these numbers indicate so local node numbers. So for element 1, on element 1, global node numbers are 1 and 2. So for element 1, local node numbers and global node numbers are same. For element 2, on element 2, global node numbers are 2 and 3, but local node numbers always 1 and 2. On all elements, local node numbers are same, 1 and 2, but global node numbers will be different. Okay, on element 2, 2 and 3 are the global node numbers. On element 3, 3 and 4 global node numbers. On element 4, 4 and 5. Okay, so in this way, we have to model the one-dimensional problems. So in the next class, I will discuss the element shape functions, stiffness matrices, strain displacement relations, stress strain relations. So I will discuss in the next class. So this is about finite element modeling of one-dimensional problems. Okay. So do you have any problems? Please ask. My doubts are on there. Hello. So respond anyone? Kishore?
Sir.
Sir, Kishore Rambabu.
Kishore
Rambabu, sir.
Rambabu. Okay, doubts em leva?
No, sir.
Okay. Ikkada only just method introduce chesam. So method introduce chesam tarvata finite element model ela cheyalannadi, node numbers ela ivvalannadi annadi maatladam. Okay. So next class nunchi element మీద ఒక ఎలిమెంట్ తీసుకుని ఆ ఎలిమెంట్ మీద ఈక్వేషన్స్ ఎలా జనరేట్ చేయాలన్నది మాట్లాడదాం. సో ఇది థియరిటికల్గా ఉంది ఈ రోజు క్లాసు. సో నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్లో మనకి యాక్చువల్ ఈక్వేషన్స్ ఎట్లా ఉంటాయి అన్నది చూస్తాం. ఓకే అండి. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.